Welcome to the Navigating Dental Insurance Podcast, where we don't take from insurance companies. Here are your hosts, Mr. Jordan Comstock and Mr. Ben Duine. This podcast is sponsored by BoomCloud Dental Membership Software, www.boomcloudapps.com, and Veritas Dental Resources, www.veritasdentalresources.com. Enjoy the show.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Navigating Dental Insurance Podcast. I've been gone for a long time, but I'm back. My name's Jordan Comstock, if you've forgotten. I've been extremely busy over the past year growing BoomCloud and hiring people, firing people, and managing all that comes to a growing business. So I apologize for not being on the podcast. I've missed everybody, but now I'm back. I have a plan to be on quite a bit. This morning I'm driving in my car to the office, coming with some thoughts for you this morning so I can share it and get going. But I'm going to be doing a new series with some of my employees at BoomCloud, my team members. And we're going to be talking about optimizing revenue for your practice in this time where inflation's crazy on the rise. There's threats of stagflation, meaning inflation is continuing to increase, but then I think we'll see a shrinking GDP and employment, which will be quite the interesting journey here. But I actually love these times because it's a time for us to get scrappy. It's a time for us to be quick on our feet. I don't know why, but I've always enjoyed it. It's probably because in the early days of my career, I was managing the dental lab during a recession, and it was challenging, but you know what? I learned a lot, and we came out ahead during those times. So we're going to be doing a series on that. We talk about the importance of optimizing your revenue, and we'll talk a little bit about that today because I think it's so important. And I've been looking. So BoomCloud we've just barely created an integration to all practice management systems out there, and I've been able to look at a lot of data that practices have, and I'm realizing that there's so much opportunity in dental practices via the collective uninsured patients, inactive patients that you can reactivate somehow, even your PPO patients. I'll talk to you about how you can optimize that too. From accounts receivables, did you guys know that the average practice loses about $120,000 per year on accounts receivable? That's insane to me. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how you can get some profitable financing, patient financing that is, because the nature of membership plans, the nature of PPO plans, I want to talk about how you should be optimizing your patient financing so that your practice makes more money versus you're paying out all this money to the financing companies when a patient needs to get some funding. Another thing that we want to talk about is how you can increase your value of the practice in good times and bad times. I think that's really important. So first off, let's talk about a membership program. If you haven't heard me before, this is my obsession. I love recurring revenue, and I see so many practices create and grow recurring revenue through our platform, BoomCloud. And in fact, we see a range from smaller practices generating about $50K per month in recurring revenue, all the way up to like $60 or $70K per month. We've seen that, and we've seen lots of people do it. And I'll talk why that's important, especially in a time where the economy may be iffy. So the reason why I love membership programs so much is because of the predictable recurring revenue and the loyalty it brings to your practice. So predictable recurring revenue is extremely important because in any type of market, you want it and you need it. But specifically, if everyone's saying we're going to hit another recession here soon, you want that predictable recurring revenue coming in so you get revenue whether you do dentistry or not. You know, and the cool thing about a membership plan, especially if it's managed by a system like BoomCloud, is that you have access to revenue control, meaning if you do need to increase pricing because of inflation or because some type of cost increased, you know, from your business, and you need to increase it from the patient side, you have access to revenue control through a membership plan, meaning you've got hundreds to thousands of patients on a platform paying you a subscription every month or every year, and if you need to increase that, you can dial that up, increase it, and you see that revenue within the next day or two, or the next month, whenever you know, alert your patients and all that fun stuff. So that's why I like recurring revenue from membership plans, especially in bad economies. Then patients will probably either, in a bad economy, they'll either lose their job or change jobs, and they still need dental care. They still need to pay for dental care. People just don't, you know, forego those things. They still need to get up. A membership plan is an awesome opportunity for you to help out your patients. You know, that's what it's all about, helping out your patients get the access to quality dental care. The next thing we want to talk about after recurring revenue is finding those uninsured patients to get more recurring revenue, right? Often, so many practices tell me, they're like, well, Jordan, we don't want to offer our membership program to our existing uninsured patients. And I always take a deep breath and say, well, why don't you want predictable recurring revenue? Often, if it's a fee-for-service practice, and they say, well, we're getting 100% of our fees anyway, so we don't want to bother with that. It's, okay, that's cool. But the reality is, you're missing out on predictable recurring revenue. That business model or that revenue model is so essential to any business. If you don't install it, you're going to have feast and famine, right? And I know this because the dental lab was like this, feast and famine. Every quarter there was some type of famine month. You know, April and September are two known famine months, and I'm able to see that in our BoomCloud dashboard. I can see what's trending, what's not trending during certain times. It's kind of fun. So you want to find your existing uninsured patients. Most of the time they're not active in your practice, or they're not saying yes to treatment as often as they probably should or needed. So finding your uninsured patients, as I said before, BoomCloud integrates into Eaglesoft Dentrix and Open Dental, and will automatically find those uninsured patients and allow you to send text messages to them and invite them to your membership program. So it's kind of fun. I love stuff like that, by the way. Automation is another thing we need to do when we hit a strange economic time period. You need to be as productive as possible, and one of the ways you can do that is by automating all your automating as much as you can. You know, sure, people will still manage it, but they will touch it less. You know, so for like example, your membership program, BoomCloud automates that. So your practice managers and staff just need to look into it here and there every once in a while, make sure things are running all right, need to update some credit cards or things like that. So recap real quick. So recurring revenue is good. Don't miss out on that opportunity, even if you think that you don't want to add your existing uninsured patients. It's super important to do that because of the recurring revenue. You want to also think about automating certain processes and things like that. Next thing I want to talk about is accounts receivable. I mentioned earlier that the average practice loses about $120K excuse me, in accounts receivable every year. That's crazy. That's insane. You know, that's revenue you can take home. That's revenue that you can share with your employees. That's revenue that you can buy a boat with, whatever you want. So it's crazy to me that goes unmanaged. I was talking to several office managers on this topic, and a lot of the times they just say, yeah, we just don't have enough time to look into that and manage that appropriately. So once again, automation is your friend. BoomCloud, we're actually building a cool little technology piece of our software that helps you automate accounts receivable from one-time payments to allow you to create payment plans, which is another strategy that we need to talk about here in a rough economy, payment plans. So your accounts receivable is extremely important. I learned this when I was at the dental lab. My dad was so obsessed with collecting money on time because he knew that after a certain amount of time, and the longer it gets out, the less likely people are to pay you. And that's work that you've already done for that patient. You've spent your money, on lab bills, on your employees. So it's really important that we get accounts receivable right. Asking for payment up front, obviously if you can't do that, or if you've got a long list of delinquent invoices out there, check out BoomCloud in the next end of the quarter, beginning of next quarter, which is like June of 2020. And with our integrations, we have our accounts receivable automation, which basically reaches out via text and email to patients and asks them to pay their balance, whether it's a one-time payment or it breaks up a payment plan and from 3, 6, 8, 12 months. You can kind of set parameters inside of BoomCloud to help you automate that. That'll give you peace of mind and hopefully a new boat at the end of the year. Okay, so membership programs, accounts receivable, automation, and processes that you can automate. Everything is super important. And guess what? In a good economy, this is just as important as well. But these are areas of focus at all times during a potential recession or potential stagflation. For those of you that don't know, that stagflation, it's when the market inflation increases and jobs in the economy decreases. It's kind of the worst scenario of one of the worst types of recessions we can have. It's fascinating to me. I love reading about this stuff. Not because for fear, it's because I always want to prepare, excuse me, and figure out the best way how to help my own company, but also help our customers, because I'm all about, helping our customers through revenue and all that fun stuff. It's just, I wake up every day excited to do that. So, okay, the next thing we want to talk about is cutting out the PPOs. Everyone knows what I feel about PPOs. I think they're crap, garbage. There's a place for them for sure. But I think the number one thing you need to do in your practice is optimize your revenue, meaning maximizing your revenue you get per patient or per treatment that's done. And the PPOs aren't doing you any good there. What they're doing is they're causing massive discounts, which causes massive devaluation of your service. I think discounts, you need to have some type of strategy for discounts, but PPOs are getting out of hand. It's like the average is like 40% discount that you're having to write off. 40%. On top of that, you got other things that are rising, right? Like employees and other costs in your practice are rising. So you got to keep your eye on that. So you got to cut out PPOs. And Ben and I have done so many courses on this. I would go to boomcloudapps.com, our website. Under the resources tab, Ben and I have so many resources that we host on BoomCloud's website. We got some webinars cutting out the PPOs. I think Ben's an absolute genius when it comes to that. So go check that out. But you want to cut out PPOs, and you want to do that the smart way. You don't want to cut them all out at once. You want to do it strategically. You may need to look at the best paying out-of-network PPOs, because they do exist. Start with those and start converting your patients over. Now, when you do this, don't send all your patients an email or text or just any form of communication that says, start of this date, we're out of network. You got to figure it out. You want to communicate it the right way. Hey, so and so, we've just become an optimized partner for such and such plan, or an unrestricted partner for such and such plan. We want to reach out to you and educate you on better ways to save for your dental care. This is where I think strategic discounting is smart. Strategic and controlled, right? This goes back to the membership plan. And then you educate them about your membership plan, get them to sign up, right? You can do this via text, especially through BoomCloud with our integration. The text message feature allows you to find certain patients on a specific PPO plan and then send them a message and invite them to join your membership plan as you're going out of network. I think it's really, really smart for practices to do that because of the average revenue per user or per patient always needs to be increasing up. When we stagnate our pricing, that'll go down, or the average profit per patient will go down, right? Average profit per patient and average revenue per patient are probably some of the two best metrics that you need to be understanding in your practice, right? How much revenue does a patient spend in a year? You know, how much revenue does a patient spend in 5 years? Things like that, you need to know that. I think it's really critical. I think Dental Intelligence has some metrics in their tool that allows you to do that. But cutting out those PPOs, it's critical to increasing the value of your practice and your peace of mind, the quality of dentistry, and as well as the quality of your profit margins and revenue per patient. Next thing you should look at when you're trying to optimize your revenue for the practice is, case acceptance. We know, so you need to get patients saying yes more to treatment. We know that I think the average case acceptance in the United States is like 30%, something like that. And that's pretty decent. If you look at a sales funnel, it's okay, but it can be improved. Everything can be improved, you know, meaning I know for a fact that membership plans, patients when they're on a membership plan, they spend at maximum like 3.5 times more than non-members. Meaning that same patient with you says yes to more treatment that is needed, obviously, and beneficial, right? So ensuring that you're maximizing your treatment, increasing your case acceptance, it's so critical for us, especially in a time, maximizing your production in a time where there's going to be potential recession here in the next little bit. It's critical. The next thing you need to look at for maximizing revenue and optimizing revenue is considering your patient financing solutions out there. This is something that I've noticed for years now in a dental practice, where whether you have a patient on a PPO plan that needs financing or a patient on a membership plan that needs financing, you're going to take another discount when you use certain financial services for patients, right? Often it's like 10 to 15% discount, again, on top of the PPO discount, which on average is like, equates to like 55% discount on your services if they use financing on a PPO plan. You know, and if you do the same with a membership plan, the average membership plan, there's like a 15% discount. So, and you add another 10 or 15% merchant discount from a financing partner, that's 30% discount, which obviously is a lot better and more profitable than PPO. But I would consider looking for patient financing solutions that don't take a merchant fee or a smaller discount of a merchant fee, right? That's going to help you save money over time, and every time a patient needs financing, you have more control and more revenue in your pocket. There's so many ways to be optimizing revenue in your practice. Another way is looking at your inactive patients and reactivating them, inviting them to join your membership program, inviting them to something, asking them a question, sending them care packets. You know, that could be a really interesting approach, where I know what we do when I want to try to get a partner to work with BoomCloud and refer us. I'll find out what they like, I'll document it in our system, and I will send them either a care box or a swag box or whatever it may be. For example, I've have some partners that wanted to, or potential partners that like guitars. Now, I am a huge guitar freak. I love guitars. I buy guitars a lot. And so I found out that this person that we're working with, that we want to work with the company for referrals, she liked guitars, so I sent her a bunch of guitar accessories and said, excited to potentially partner. So you could do that maybe with your patients. Obviously, it doesn't have to be guitar accessories. It can even just be a little dessert or something, or cookies, or a coupon somewhere. I don't know. Just be creative and for those inactive patients, and send them something different. You know, give them an experience that they're like, wow, that was actually really cool that our dentist just sent us something, right? It's unique, it's different. They don't see it. It surprises them. And usually when you do that, when you surprise people, they end up becoming loyal. They end up talking about your services. So that's a great way to maximize your revenue from your patient base, your existing patient base. So those are kind of my thoughts this morning as I'm driving into the BoomCloud office here in Lehi, Utah. So I'm doing a course, I think next week, called Optimize Your Revenue, 6 Ways to Combat Inflation and Stagflation. So if you're on my email list, you probably received an email. If not, go to boomcloud.com, download an ebook, or watch one of our courses. You'll be on our email list. You can get invited to that. I do it on Zoom. I like to do educational webinars. In fact, that's what I've been focused on the past year, is just educational webinars. So if you haven't seen me on a podcast, you've probably seen me on a webinar. Love webinars. Love the interaction on webinars and all that stuff. So, but come to my course. And if you're not, go to our book. Go download the Recession Proofing Your Practice ebook. It's under the ebook section on our resources on boomcloudapps.com. But really enjoyed my morning drive with you guys this morning. Hope you guys have a rocking day. Peace out.